Hi everyone, and welcome to this is our bonus module of our training, ANHT's training around the EDDE and the DRI. My name's Alex. I'm the senior political organizer at ANHT,
and my name is Abdul, and I'm the graduate intern at ANHT.
So Abdul is just gonna really quickly take us through module number 7, which is about data analysis and the steps to dive into the data more deeply. All of the previous modules have really covered using this tool as a community member or as a community, and so we're gonna share sort of the next steps for how to process the data for our data analysts and our data wonks. So I will hand that over to Abdul to walk us through that.
All right, thanks, Alex. So we're going to do a few different screen shares for this one. We're going to start first with looking at the EDDE, just to see where we go to download the different data sets that the EDDE provides. There's kind of two main data sets that I would suggest that you grab from the EDDE. One comes from the community data view, and the other one comes from the displacement risk map. They'll both be downloaded in the form of Microsoft Excel worksheets, or depending on what kind of software you use, just kind of worksheets or spreadsheet style. So if you use Google Sheets, then you can download it and use it in there as well, but it'll come in the form of a spreadsheet. And so the first thing that you will do when you want to download the community data, which is the view where you can see either community district, borough, or citywide data, is select whichever community district that you want to look at. For this example, I'm going to use Jackson Heights and North Corona's community district, since that's the example we had in our other modules. And then when you're on this view, you can really click any of the data categories here. And when you switch to the data table view, you'll see that at the top right, there's a button that says download data. Now, when you click on this button, there'll be a small pop-up that shows up right in the center. And it has some information under geography that's helpful to know, just to confirm that you're getting the data that you want at the specific level that you're interested in. You'll see first that it says PUMA and then a number. PUMA, once again, is a kind of designation term that the census used to define community district boundaries. And so when you see that, then you know that it's at the community district level. I'll X out of this box real quick so you can see that at the top here, above Jackson Heights and North Corona, the same number and designation, PUMA 4102, is there. So that's how you know, oh, this is the number for my community district. I'm going to be downloading data for Jackson Heights and North Corona. And if you weren't sure, then it's said right there, right after the number. Then you'll also see that Queens comes after the comma, and then citywide. What this means is that when you download this data set, you're going to get a folder of 3 different spreadsheets. One of them is going to be all of the data tables for the community district. The second will be all of the data tables for Queens. And the last one will be all of the data tables when looking at data citywide. This information is really helpful because it then allows you to have all the data at once. That maybe helps you compare at different scales. And what's important is that if you are someone who maybe only wanted to see the borough data and the citywide data, you could still gather it from doing this. Or if you wanted to download it without a specific community district in mind, then all you have to do is go back to the map and say you want to go from the borough level. You would then click specifically on Queens. And then you would once again click a data category and go to download data. And now when you do that, only Queens and citywide pops up. So that means if you picked it from the borough level to start with, then you're only going to download borough level and citywide data. And then one more example we have here is if you go back to the map again and then go to citywide, at the citywide level, everything is already selected for you. Then you pick your data category, go to download data, and now you just see citywide underneath geography, which means when you download the data from this perspective, you're only going to get the data set for the citywide. I suggest that you typically choose from the community districts level, usually because most people will be using this tool with an interest in the community district. And even if you are more interested in your borough, you're going to get your borough information anyways. But the community district allows you to think about the story about housing and other issues at a local level to compare to as well. So now that we have that in mind, I'll jump back to the process of downloading the data. So you go here into the data table view, you click download data, you see your pop-up box, and then you'll see at the bottom, there's something that says report type. We're going to select data set .xls, which means it's going to be downloaded as a series of spreadsheets. What you'll notice here above that is something that says communityprofile.pdf. This is something that is coming soon that will be available, but is largely connected to the racial equity reports that were part of the local law 78 legislation that will be required for future land use proposals that are made within the city of New York. We'll make a separate video training at a later point to go over what those community profiles entail and what that also means when they're included within the racially equity report. But for now, all you have to focus on if you're a data wonk is getting the actual raw data in the form of these data set tables. And so what you would do next is click download data, and then whatever browser you're using, it will have your little download box at the bottom or at the top, wherever it shows up where your downloads go. And I'm going to switch my share screen just so we can jump straight to what it looks like when it's downloaded on my desktop. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like when that zip folder as it comes down is on my file explorer. So now you can see here, in my desktop, it downloaded 3 spreadsheets within a folder that is named after the PUMA or the community district number that was given. And so I have the PUMA 4102 for Jackson Heights and North Corona, that spreadsheet, a citywide spreadsheet, and a spreadsheet for Queens, which is shown with the abbreviation for Queens, QN. Now that I have this, I'm able to then look at and click on each of these to open separate spreadsheets. It won't give you the spreadsheet, it won't give you the information for these 3 different geographic scales as one spreadsheet. It'll keep them as separate. So if you wanted to look at them side by side, you have to manipulate, maybe copy and paste or move around the data to do that in whatever way makes the most sense for you. And so then I'll do a quick new share of all of the different spreadsheets that are available. So first you can see here, this is the spreadsheet for the PUMA. You'll see that it has the 5 tabs at the bottom that correlate to the 5 different data categories that are available within the community data view. And if you scroll down, you'll see that the information that's available in community data view is the same that is provided here. And they also include, without you having to check a box or anything, the reliability data, the margin of error, and the coefficient of variation as well, the CV. What you also get, which is unique to this view, is the change between 2010 and 2020, or the change between whatever is the oldest and youngest period of data collection that each data table offers. This is really helpful if you're really trying to understand that change over time that's occurred for a specific demographic or housing related topic, and is not provided when you're looking at the website view. Remember that for the specific category of housing production, that piece of information was not provided by race, so you won't get that information still when you go into the spreadsheet view of this. But what is really helpful is that for the categories that do have it divided by race, they give you each of the tables right on top of another, so you once again don't have to use a drop-down menu. They'll be immediately there. So if you want to copy paste and move around the tables to compare these different groups side by side, then you're able to do that a little bit more here. I won't jump through to look at the other 2 geographies because they are the exact same format as these ones are, where you have the 5 tabs going through the 5 categories, and you have the tables. They just show that data for the Queens level geographic area and for the city-wide geographic area. And so what I'm going to do now is jump back to our view of the EDDE. And what you'll see now is I'll go back to look at the displacement risk map. We want to look at the displacement risk map for the Jackson Heights area. So we'll switch over, and then I'll pick Jackson Heights. Now, what's unique about downloading data from the displacement risk map is that instead of downloading it for the specific neighborhood, you'll actually be able to download all of the data points and different risk level indicators in one spreadsheet for all of the neighborhoods on the map. And so when I go to the top of the left pane here where it says download data, once I click that, I then get the option to just download all of the neighborhood tabulation areas or all of the neighborhoods at once. So when I download that data, it once again goes to wherever my downloads go in my browser and onto my desktop. And I can show you here in my downloads, if I just change my screen share, I can show you here that it is located right there with the other downloads of the zip folders from when I downloaded the community data. Then when you want to actually look at this information, the way that it looks is in the form of a very long spreadsheet. So I'll share that here. And so on the left, you'll see the names of all of the neighborhoods that are in New York. You'll see their NTA code or their neighborhood code as it's defined within the DRI for internal purposes. And then you'll see the levels of overall displacement risk, and then each of the levels for the three different data factors: population vulnerability, housing conditions, and market pressure. What is also there are the numerical, the either quantitative numbers or the percentages for the information that you got from the data points. And what I think is really important about this is also it provides the quantitative information for what we're given as text answers within the displacement risk map. So if you were looking, I say, for example, let me look at, I'll pick a random one, Bensonhurst East, just as the one that's up top here. It says it has a larger proportion of severely rent-burdened households than the city. That's all we get when we look at the website view of the DRI. But then next to it, we see that there is a specific number here, 32.3, which means that that is the actual proportion within Bensonhurst East of severely rent-burdened households, which then makes it easier to then compare that across the neighborhood since we have them all up in this line here. What's also unique about this view for the displacement risk index and displacement risk map data is that you get a data dictionary in the second tab. It's a really basic data dictionary that just helps you understand what kind of data each of the categories or each of the key terms are that you'll see when you're looking at this spreadsheet. And then a description, either a very quantitative description or a very kind of low-key description of what that data means, and also what the formulas are for the risk index, which you can see here is kind of up at the top right. And so as someone who sometimes is interested in diving into the data, not in a super way that some of you might be, but in a way that helps me to kind of understand what is being said in the background or what is being defined for some data, being able to download this information can be really helpful in kind of comparing in a way that the EDDE is still not at a point to be point of being able to do. So if you want to see city, borough, and community district side by side, if you want to see 5 neighborhoods side by side, if you want to see a community district at the highest level of income and the lowest level of income, then you can download that data to be able to do that on your desktop in the way that makes most sense for you. And so with that being said, that is our bonus module for the EDDE and the DRI. And we hope that you enjoy your deep dive into all of these tables. Thank you.